Aloha! Today's show is all about global gardening. I think most gardeners that I've run across love to show off their gardens. Now, this is perfectly natural, whether it's your auntie that's come by and you want to show her the roses, or whether you have friends who want to share apples, or whatever it is that we do in the garden. We all have different ways that we approach gardening. Some people are into fruit growing, some do vegetables, some do flowers, some do it all. But it just seems very normal to me that gardeners just love to show off their gardens. I mean, I'm sure most of you do, right? Hey, sometimes I even like showing off my disasters. Like when I put a dragon fruit cutting it upside down, Sometimes it's kind of funny. But, so, today's show is about taking the garden to the World Wide Web. This is something that I personally have been doing for quite a while now. There are so many reasons why a person might want to go ahead and do videos of their gardens and post those videos on the World Wide Web. My choice is YouTube, but there are so many other places. Plus, once you have something embedded on YouTube, then you can turn around and link it to Facebook or wherever you want to put it. There are so many different possible reasons for why gardeners might want to put their gardens on the web. In my case, I think originally the whole idea was promotion. When I started the Green Garden Service business, I needed to be able to put myself out there on the world's web as a showing that I was a credentialed horticulturalist. So I posted myself really just as a promotional activity, so I could tell people who wanted to hire me, for instance, for one job or another, well, here, I've got videos on that, take a look. This is who I am, here's what I know. And in the simple act of just posting yourself and having a little information, sometimes we actually create experts out of ourselves. In other words, it's a Madison Avenue thing. It's we do image building on the web often. As far as promotion's concerned, then promotion leads into profit is another reason why you might want to put your garden on the internet. Well, for instance, it was Kualani at the Hawaii Food Basket who had encountered a video of me standing over a bunch of cabbages over here. That's why she went ahead and contacted me and said, "Bill, will you sell me those cabbages?" I said, "Yeah, sure. We plan to sell them to somebody. You may as well sell them to you." And so that's what made the initial contact. Now, I've sold her a lot more than cabbages since that day. But, posting your garden on the World Wide Web could lead towards profits. One of the things people like to watch and some people like to do is how-to videos. I have done over the years many of those, and in fact, I think some of my most popular garden videos are how-to videos. Videos on pruning citrus trees, that's been really hot. My raspberry pruning video and some of the blackberry pruning videos, those really sit way high up on the list as far as things that people view on my channel. Some of those are some pretty old videos. They go back 10 years, yet people are still watching them every day, and I'm getting feedback on them, and those were how-to videos. I think pruning and a few other things like rooting cuttings and grafting, these tend to be probably the most popular videos I have. And so, posting how-to videos. On the other hand, some people just like to show and tell. I do that, right? We walk around the Green Garden Guy's garden and we go, "Hey, look at what's happening out here today. Check this out." We show stuff off, and now there are various reasons why. If I'm trying to sell a seed and I have the fruit to taste in front of the camera, Here we have a show and tell, and it's more than that, because when I begin salivating, usually I get lots of orders for the seeds in that fruit. Not everybody is as camera friendly. Some people definitely have this problem with, camera and presence, and they're shy and so on. And so, I mean, there are ways around that too, because you shy person, you can still show off your garden. You just don't have to show yourself. I mean, there's no reason why you all probably be happier looking at my flowers out here than my silly face anyway today. But, those of you who are shy like that and you don't want to get your face in a camera, you can still do videos about your garden. Just show us the plants, you don't put your face in there. I mean, you can even distort your voice if you want to pretend you're someone else, right? I mean, I could talk like this, right? You'd never know who I was if I was standing out of the camera. And in fact, I think there's a hook there, because a person who won't step into the camera but shows the garden, who is this mystery gardener? You have the mystery gardener show, all kinds of, let somebody guess, try to figure out, who is that person? Do I know that person? Yeah, a little bit there keeps people interested. There's a lady in England that I've tuned into a few times who gardens in the nude. I mean, wow, what a hook, right? Now, she don't show anything. I mean, it's here from, shoulders up. For all I know, she's actually got her pants on, but she works in a greenhouse, a rooftop garden in England someplace, and she does her whole garden show in the buff, no clothes on. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if she got the best garden, but it certainly got my attention. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you could draw people in to watch these videos. Sometimes it's just the nature of your garden. Maybe it's the quality of your fruit. Maybe it's your statuary. Who knows what it is, right? There can be so many different things that people are interested in here. And in my case, I found that people will dial in just because it's Hawaii, right? They want to see what's going on over there on the big island in paradise. And so I think a lot of people live vicariously through some of these gardening videos. Or maybe people even incapacitated, apartment bound, or who knows what the situation could be, that these are windows into the universe. You can look out through the computer and you can see other places and what other people do, and kind of they just experience a little bit of what that life might be like. I think one of the most solid reasons why you might want to go ahead and start posting videos of your garden on the web is because the world is just filled with a whole lot of nastiness. And in general, I find gardeners to be positive and generally good people. People with nice thoughts. People who try to make the world a better place. This is very much, I think, in the hearts of so many gardeners, that you're all trying to make the world smell better, look better, taste better, make it, gardening will reduce your blood pressure even, it will give you more health. It's a healthy and positive activity. And you go out there on the internet and look around and, oh my goodness, you got Islamic radicals trying to recruit people for suicide bombs. You got white supremacists and neo-Nazis out there, trying to convince people that the white race rules and anybody with brown skin is inferior. This is all just disgusting, slimy stuff. It's really sick. And you really can't confront it head on very well. I'd like to take a rocket launcher to a lot of these people, but it's not going to do any good. It'd just start a war. And so I think that the best way to combat some of the ugliness and the negativity in our world today is to saturate the web with positive thinking, beautiful things, stuff that enhances other people's lives rather than makes the world a miserable and ugly place. There's a lot of room for it. Believe me, there's a lot of room for it. I'm sure most of you, feel that you would like to see the world better than it is. I'm sure most of you do. That's why you're watching this channel. That's my mission, was to leave the world in better shape than I found it. But it's not the easiest thing to do, and whatever energy you would apply in spreading beautiful thoughts, positive thoughts in the world is about the most that the majority of us can ever do in making this world a better place. Who knows? Maybe with that message you hit the right person at just the right time that changed their mind, shifted their perspective, with all the ugliness being pushed out there right now. I think it's up to each and every one of us that have a more positive view of life and reality to promote. And I can't think of anything that's easier to promote than a beautiful garden. Most of us who have these gardens, we feel for them in our hearts. We love our gardens, and so when we show other people our gardens, we're expressing some of the best aspects of who we are. The world has changed so much, so much. It used to be, to do this type of thing, I had to have a job at a television station, right? And I mean, television stations are even relatively new things when I was born. The TV, a relatively recent invention. But here we got our own television channels. We got YouTube, we got cameras, and so on. So we're able to actually do hey, it's the Bill Show, and so we can speak to each and every person out there across the entire planet today. I get people coming back and responding to me on some of my videos from places all over. I mean, I've heard from South Africa. I hear from Romania. I've heard from Greece. I've heard from Turkey. I hear from England frequently. Ireland, yes. New Zealand, Australia, English-speaking countries very much so. But maybe it's because of my crops. I hear from Brazil frequently. I don't speak Portuguese, but apparently people in Brazil, a lot of them do speak English. And they enjoy the fact that here in Hawaii, Bill raises a lot of fruit that comes from the Amazon, I guess. And so, I get it from all over the world. My garden has become a much, much bigger thing, It used to be maybe, the local garden club would come take a tour, or maybe I'd involve myself in some sort of drought-tolerant gardening project or natives gardening project in California. And so we'd get local groups that support that kind of environmental gardening coming by on tours. I used to be part of the Bay Friendly garden tour there in the Bay, and stuff. And so we'd see all sorts of different people, but nothing like you see when you put your garden on the web. And again, nothing to be afraid of here. You don't have to tell them where the garden is. You don't even have to tell them who the heck you are. But if you project the wonder and the beauty of your garden into the rest of the world where other people can find it, you will touch somebody else's heart. What I have noticed about amateur video makers, though, is that sometimes a lot of this stuff is done on cell phones. Well, I personally don't think they're the right equipment, but if you hold them right, you can make a halfway decent video using a cell phone, if that's all you have. Just make sure, don't go standing the thing straight up so you get that narrow image. That's definitely an amateurish thing. Turn it so it's landscape, okay? When you're shooting landscape, make sure you get the phone turned the right direction. You don't want those cut-off bars on the side. It's really pretty poor work. When you're looking at a flower and you're talking about the flower, right, before you move the camera to the next image, or as you change what you're saying, make a break, make a pause. If you stop, rather than running on by shifting the camera real fast and continuing to talk, you'll probably get out of focus, you'll get a blur in the process, and just watching things go like that sometimes is enough to make me nauseous. And if you don't leave gaps between your statements, you have no way to edit, you see. And so if you will make your statement, show the image, and then stop before you move to the next image. Now, you don't have to turn off the camera. You can leave the camera running, all right? But if you say you're going to show an orange flower and talk about what it's about, you just aim the camera at the orange flower, give us a good look at this thing, and discuss what it's all about. Then before moving to the red flower, stop talking, move the camera, and then begin delivering again. The reason I suggest this is because so many videos I've seen, people do not edit. Editing is what it's all about, because sometimes, 20 or 30% of what I do here on the front of this camera is garbage. It needs to be thrown out, Sometimes I burp, other times I fart, sometimes I'm cussing at the helicopters, who knows, what's up. Or I just drop something and I'm fumbling, or maybe I'm sitting here going, there's nothing worse than that, right? It'd sound like a genius if when you go to put this on the web, before you go to the web, you edit. And so you run it through some software so you can take all your images, start rolling them by, listen to them, watch them, and where you get to a point where things are getting a little goofy, you can take that, you can cut that out, and you can splice things back together. Now, there are so many different types of transitions that are available on video software. I usually tend to just use a fade myself, a very simple way of overlapping two images. So one fades into the other. If you leave enough space in there on what you're saying, then it will fade from one to the other before the next line starts to come up in the vocal, and it sounds quite natural. You want to go ahead and edit. And so, like Windows, Microsoft Windows, for years and years, Microsoft Windows came loaded on our computers with a program that was called Microsoft Movie Maker. And that was a video editing software that, is minimal, but it worked fine. Now, I can always tell it when I see it on the web because of the kind of fonts and things that were provided with it. But believe me, even editing with the most basic software package like the free the Microsoft that comes loaded with your computer, even that is better than no editing at all. If you get really good at this and you understand how valuable editing is, and you want to do some special things, you can go out and buy yourself a more sophisticated editing program. I eventually did. I started using Movie Maker. That's where I began, and the first 2 years of all the videos I ever shot were with that program that came right with my computers. I don't know whether it's loaded on Windows 10 these days or not. I haven't looked around to find that out, but I'm sure it's still available from Microsoft's website if you're interested in using that program. I know I've downloaded it free before from Microsoft. Otherwise, I use Sony Vegas. I find it to be quite acceptable. Does perfect jobs for me. And so Sony Vegas is a recommended software. But there are so many. And there's open source freeware. There's just a lot of different programs. What's most important is not which one you're using. It's the fact that you are using one, so that you can cut out all the garbage and splice all the good stuff together. And when you become skilled at doing this, like I say, you will learn to make pauses in between when you're changing subjects, changing places, and so on, so that you can make beautiful, nice transitions that are pleasant, and the viewer may not even know that anything had happened there, And so editing is just such a big, big, big deal. So there you have it, folks. This unusual video today. It's about gardening, sort of, but it's more about YouTube and videos than it is about gardening. Gardening just happens to be the subject that I'm definitely encouraging all of you to have gardens out there. Take out that smartphone or take out that video camera and start to shoot some stuff. You know, let's see what you got. Put it out there on the web. Using YouTube is very simple. It's very self-explanatory, and if you do have any problems with trying to figure out how to get the video from the camera or the smartphone onto YouTube, there's usually somebody around you that knows exactly how to do that, because it is not complicated. It's a few things you need to know. That's about it. You know. So I definitely encourage you all. We could say it is our act as gardeners towards world peace. We don't need any more white supremacist videos. We don't need any more Nazis marching in the street. I don't want to see any more recruitment videos for ISIS out there. I want to see people growing beefsteak tomatoes, Mr. Lincoln roses, and other gorgeous and delicious things that make our lives wonderful living on this planet. Y'all can do it. Aloha. Hang loose.